Well, voters are about to head to the polls in New York City to elect their next mayor, and it's a race the whole world is watching. Early polling data suggests Democratic candidate Zohran Mamdani is ahead of independent Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. Ross Barkan has worked closely with Zohran Mamdani and written extensively about Andrew Cuomo, and he joins me live now from New York. Ross, good to have you with us. Now, firstly, what's been the atmosphere like in the streets of New York, and how does it compare, I suppose, to more recent mayor elections?
Quite electric right now. It's quite charged. I can't remember this much excitement and interest around a mayoral election, this much fear among some of the anti-Mamdani crowd. So definitely, it feels like a presidential election almost. You don't usually get this, at least in recent times, in New York City mayoral races.
Yes, so Mamdani and Cuomo, they are the front runners. How close is this race at the moment, and what's the latest polling telling us?
Yeah. I mean, I would say Mamdani's ahead. I mean, the polling average, Mamdani's around 10 points ahead. There was one poll that just came out that showed it very tight, within 4, but that seems like a bit of an outlier. Most polls have shown Mamdani 10 to 15, I would say. So he's ahead. He's the front runner, but you never know in elections. So the turnout is expected to be very high. Early voting had a great amount of enthusiasm. So it will at least set turnout records. And Mamdani is the favorite to win. If he lost, it would be a real big upset, put it that way.
Yes, and mayors of large cities, they're rarely known outside of their own cities and their own countries, but the exception is New York, and everyone knows the likes of Michael Bloomberg, Rudy Giuliani. So can you explain why the job of the New York mayor occupies such a powerful position politically in the U.S.?
New York's, of course, the largest city in America by far. It occupies a great place in the public imagination. There looks to it both with excitement and sometimes with dread. And the mayor, it's a significant role. I mean, they control the largest police department in the United States, the largest education department. There's a great deal of power invested in the role. And also it has a great deal of prestige as well. And it becomes a symbol usually of urban America. So that's really, it draws people in one way or the other.
Yes. So let's go to the front runner in the polls, at least, Mamdani. He was your campaign manager when you ran for the New York Senate. He is the Democratic candidate, brands himself as a socialist Democrat. How does this sort of ideology sit with New York voters? Because there's been lots of money spent by billionaires who want to make sure he doesn't win.
Well, he won the Democratic primary, so it's the sort of thing where fewer and fewer New Yorkers are alienated by it, certainly. And there's a contingent of New Yorkers, younger voters mostly, who are drawn to it or excited by the idea of democratic socialism, an expanded social safety net, a more humane government, one where there are more government programs. So, you have older voters who are alienated and say, we are a capitalist country, we are a capitalist city, you can't elect a socialist. But there's a lot of younger voters now here today who are thrilled by it. So it's certainly a mix, but it hasn't hurt him, put it that way, because he won the primary by so much.
Yes, and what does it tell us about the Democratic Party itself? Because many senior figures, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, were not really quick to warm up to him and to immediately give him endorsement. So why the resistance?
Well, one, he's pro-Palestine. I mean, that's a big part of it. Traditionally in American politics, Democrats and Republicans alike were very pro-Israel. The fact that Mamdani can speak to the plight of the Palestinians in Gaza and criticize Israel, he said he'd arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he set foot in New York. I'd say that alone, plus the fact that he's an outsider. He really, like Donald Trump, he subverted the system in some ways. He didn't wait his turn. He ran. He beat establishment-backed candidates. He put himself in position that, the Hakeem Jeffries of the world didn't expect him to be in. So I do think if you combine the pro-Palestine politics, being a democratic socialist, and just the fact that he, in some ways came from nowhere, 34 years old, just shot up to the top. That's something the establishment is always going to be wary of.
And can you tell us, Ross, how much has race and religion, been the point of focus in this New York election, given Mamdani's background, a Muslim born in Uganda to parents of Indian ancestry?
Well, it's definitely been a focal point for his detractors, for Cuomo. It's something, quite frankly, to criticize the fact that he grew up in Uganda, or at least was there till he was 7. Cuomo said something about him not having New York values, and there's been real Islamophobia in this race. And conservatives, very conservative people talk about his dislike of Western values. At the same time, New York is a very diverse city. There's a lot of Muslims in New York. There's a lot of South Asians in New York. So it's been a draw. The fact that New York is on the verge of making history, electing its first Muslim mayor, is exciting for a lot of people. At the same time, there is a contingent that has been openly vocal and angry about it.
Yes, and you've written, 2 books on his opponent, Andrew Cuomo. What can you tell us about the way he has managed his campaign, given those very serious, sexual misconduct allegations that were against him that forced him to resign as the governor?
So I'd say one book, and then it got reissued this year. But what I'd say about Cuomo is in the primary, he ran a Rose Garden campaign, they call it, where he did not campaign much at all. He really hid from the press. He hid from his opponents. He didn't go to any of the forums they had where candidates would show up and talk to people. It was very much hide until I win. Then he didn't win. Now in the general election, he's been more aggressive. He's been talking to media more, talking to voters more. He has not been apologetic, though. Resigned in disgrace. At no point has he said, I'm sorry for what I did, or I'm sorry for the harm or the chaos I caused. It's been full steam ahead. So he's unrepentant in that way. And it has helped him with some voters, but also he is scandal scarred. And that is one of the big reasons that he's not winning it or not ahead in any poll. No poll showed him ahead since he lost the primary, put it that way.
Yeah, and I do find it really interesting because he does appear to be the preferred candidate, not just for Democrats, but also Republicans.
So he's been courting Republicans lately. So in the primary, only Democrats could vote. He lost to Mamdani by quite a bit. Now in the general election, it's open to all voters. So Republicans can vote, independents can vote, and Democrats can vote. So part of his strategy has been building a coalition with Republicans and Democrats. Trump voters in particular, New York has a significant minority vote for Trump in the presidential election last year, almost a third of the city. So he has been courting them quite aggressively. And Trump just said the other day he'd prefer Cuomo over Mamdani. So Mamdani has used that sort of to say Trump endorsed Cuomo. And now, some voters hate that. And of course, there are Republicans who are abandoning the Republican candidate, Curtis Sliwa, to vote for Cuomo.
Yeah, I mean, that's a candidate I really do want to talk about quite briefly with you. But what can you tell us about Curtis Sliwa, about the Republican candidate that many senior Republicans prefer, and Donald Trump prefer, shouldn't be there?
So Curtis is something of a New York fixture. He founded a vigilante group called the Guardian Angels, and they will walk around on subway platforms and make people feel safe. They don't carry guns or anything like that. And he's been something of a law and order, crime fighter type person who is very outspoken. He's a radio host. That's his primary job. So he's very colorful. He has a lot of quips. He ran for mayor 4 years ago, did not win. So he's seen as something of a gadfly. Some people don't take him that seriously, but he's been running very aggressively. He campaigns throughout the day and night. So he's going to get votes and he won't drop out. Cuomo tried to get him to drop out. Trump tried to get him to drop out. He will not leave the race. So he's stuck there. Cuomo's calling him a spoiler, though Cuomo is the independent right now. And we'll see if Mamdani gets over 50%. He's not a spoiler at all. But, if Mamdani finishes under 50, there'll be talk about what happened. Why didn't Sliwa leave the race?
Yes, and finally, what do you make of Donald Trump's threats to restrict federal funding to New York if Mamdani wins?
Well, you have to take the threats very seriously. Look, he's restricting aid already. He's withheld funding for a subway extension in Manhattan. He's been withholding funding for a major tunnel project between New Jersey and New York City. So, what's legal, what's not, they're going to go to court certainly and challenge whatever funds he withholds. But yes, it's a real threat. But I think under Cuomo, that threat exists too. The National Guard threat exists under Cuomo too. Certainly, Trump will challenge Mamdani. There's no doubt about it. He sees him as a foil. He sees him as someone who's kind of his adversary in the media. So it's something that Mamdani must be prepared for.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating race, and we will keep a close watch on the results. Ross Barkan, really appreciate your time with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.